Then India had a drought in 1964-65, and India was in another famine, and Indian famines traditionally took millions of lives. And at that point, the Indian government and Lyndon Johnson, who was president of the United States, the Ford Foundation and the Rockefeller Foundation, at the urging of M.S. Swaminathan and Norman Borlaug, said, let's get these high-yield seeds to India. So they shipped, I think, something like 20,000 tons of seed in 1965-66, and that began the Indian Green Revolution. Now, India's never had another famine since then. Within a few years, it had essentially doubled its grain output. And India has not yet escaped from poverty, and it's got many ecological problems and so on. But the Green Revolution took hold, and India was able to get a foothold to start achieving rapid economic development. This was foreign aid. That terrible idea, long discredited. This was exactly aid at its finest. And it worked. Didn't work perfectly, because nothing in life works perfectly. But it sure worked better than famines. And it set off India's rapid economic growth, which will be about 8 to 10% in the coming years, meaning that India's output per person and income levels will be doubling every 7 to 10 years, and poverty will be falling sharply. So those are two examples. I could go on, by the way, with about 50 really good examples of aid that worked. Then, if you gave me another hour, I'd give you 50 examples of aid that was for shit. You know, that where we supported dictators and tyrants and stupid ideas, and sent tractors to places that couldn't use tractors, and did all sorts of idiotic things as well. Life's complicated. It's not simple. And the question you raise is also complicated about trade. The villages, in the Millennium Villages, they don't have anything to export. It's not, they could care less about their export market right now. They don't even have enough to feed themselves. They don't have a surplus. No matter what happens in world markets, there's not even a feeder road out to a main road. There's no storage sites. There's no facilities for fertilizer or high-yield seeds. The children are sick. The communities come down with malaria at harvest time. The world markets are as much as in a different solar system for them. So that's not actually the trigger point at the moment. The trigger point is basic health to stay alive, basic nutrition to be productive, high-yield seeds and fertilizer to be able to generate a surplus, and market institutions to be able to turn that into income. And most of these places are, in this case, net importers of grain. So it's not even the export market barriers, it's just not having to depend so much on food aid. This isn't to say that trade barriers are insignificant in cotton and in some other commodities. They certainly play a role. But it is to say that there is no one step out of extreme poverty. The aid versus trade debate, or the markets versus state debate, or the public versus private debate, are all wrong, in my opinion and in my experience. Every time you see an or a versus, put in an and you'll be on the right track. This is a portfolio of methods. It's not an or proposition, it's an and proposition. And that's what history teaches. And if we keep open-minded and very responsive to local realities, which is the truth, and that's where your starting point is absolutely correct. Don't just send things. Look and work with local communities on local needs. Then you'll get the and proposition correct. Maybe one more, I think. Please.
So you talked a couple of times.
Tell me your name.
Oh, I'm Mark.
Mark, hi.
You talked a couple of times about the power of collectivities and especially social networking and how much more that enables at the moment. And I'm wondering examples, inspiring examples perhaps, of how social networking has helped in poverty, or perhaps where you would like to see it applied for sort of the programmers in the audience who would like to sort of...
Yeah. Well, I think that the networks make possible things that were unimaginable before. And maybe I could come back to Eric's question another time just on the aid issue. This Millennium Village project, though we started it in 2004 or 5, actually would not be possible to be successful were it not for the fact that in the intervening years, mobile telephony and wireless broadband has come to the villages. I didn't know that when I started. And when I wrote The End of Poverty, I had no idea that there was about to be a mobile revolution in these villages. I knew there was already a mobile revolution, but I didn't know it was going to sweep the poorest villages of the world in just a few years. So in this sense, the network is that a problem comes up and within hours, a global network of expertise has been mobilized very quickly, and maybe it turns out it's then referred back to the World Food Program in Mekelle, Ethiopia, or in Kumasi, Ghana, and so on. And you solve problems much faster than ever before. So part of the networking is problem solving, and it's day-to-day problem solving. And my email box, is, I'm sure many of yours, and if not now, it will be soon, comes from all continents and from villages in all continents daily. So that by itself is not Facebook friends, but it is malariologists around the world organized and networked informally to fight that disease, or experts in agriculture that are consulting each other online, addressing a problem that's come by email, and so on. Then there is, I believe, a world waiting to be developed by the programmers and all the rest to connect much more fully the schools, the universities, the students in all parts of the world, so that they are talking and solving problems together. We do one thing at Columbia which I really like, and it's getting better and better. Every Tuesday morning we have what we call Global Classroom, which is a master's level course that has 25 campuses around the world, online, real time, for a global discussion. So we do it 8 a.m. starting in New York, 8 p.m. starting in Beijing. And it's some Adobe software, which is wonderful and free. Everybody needs nothing more than broadband and a webcam. It costs nothing. We put up a protected website for students to upload their papers and their problem sets and so on. Real time, we have the once a week 1 hour of real-time group discussion, and then lots of online things to stream and taped lectures and a growing repository of materials. To my mind, that's how universities of the future will be. I mean, why have a discussion in one classroom when it can be a worldwide discussion? Why have a lecture on African studies when you can have a leading African development specialist from Ouagadougou giving you that morning's lecture? And so this is another part of what I would like to see, and it's already starting embryonically. We're in our third year of this at Columbia now with these 25 partner schools, and it's getting better and better. This year we can hear each other properly. Last year, it would drop more frequently and so on. So you feel you're pushing the technology, but since the size of the pipes is increasing, the quality of everything is increasing, including the experience. I'd also like the universities, as you spread this concept of campuses taking on this challenge, to make direct connections with the places where you're working and where you're supporting. So Tibi, which is a village in Mali, is the place that Carleton students have supported more direct contact with Tibi online, video conferencing with the teams there, getting faculty and student seminars working together to address problems. To my mind, this is all a next step. There will be a new website starting soon called Jumo, which is being launched by Chris Hughes, one of the Facebook founders, which is going to be a social networking site to make links between individuals and groups with others in this social development, global development space. And that, I think, is being turned on December 1, or just about in the next couple of weeks. So Chris just gave me a briefing about what he's got going. And of course, it's all of the bells and whistles of a Facebook founder you can imagine. Lots of clever things about how all of this is going to work, and don't make me repeat it because I don't get enough of it. But anyway, he's got lots of good things going. But I think that for me, making the networks across the campuses work, using the opportunity to have worldwide group discussions real time where there's streaming and participation, and then direct contact with counterparts are three areas that I would find to be very, very high value. Thank you so much for all that you're doing, and thanks for the chance to be with you this morning. I really appreciate it.
Hi everyone, my name is Christopher Infantry. I'm the Vice President Student Life of Carleton University Student Association, and on behalf of CUSA and the Carleton community, I'd like to present Professor Sachs with a Roosters travel mug.
And you can tell I need that.
Actually, following the conclusion of this event, we actually have a workshop on smart activism and mobilization, which is going to be held in room 342 of the Torrey building for about 1 hour. And something I'd actually like to quickly say is, unfortunately, the levy that CUSA is supposed to be collecting on behalf of Millennium Villages is actually being withheld from the university right now, being withheld by the Board of Governors. So if you guys need any more information about that, please stop by.
Could you just explain that? We got to take this on.
Yeah, actually, what is happening is the university wants more autonomy over CUSA and the GSA. They're asking for financial statements, which we have already agreed to give them, which would satisfy what they want for auditing purposes, for legal purposes, but they want beyond that. They want to tell the Student Association how to spend their money, and basically what they're doing is withholding the membership fees that you guys pay to CUSA, and they collect on our behalf because we do not have the capacity to do so, to kind of hold that above our heads. And one of those fees is the levy that we collect on behalf of Millennium Villages. So right now we're actually in a fight with the university to try to get those back. And if you guys could go to the back maybe after or on Monday and sign a petition that we actually have going called Free the Fees, or talk to any of the CUSA representatives. We have a GSA representative in the back. Maybe if...
Do you think that maybe the university could know that the people in Tibi can't really wait for this to be settled fully, and therefore that they need to plant for the next season? And that maybe the university could just release that part so that the poorest people in the world don't suffer as the university resolves its accounting.
You know what?
And maybe you could have someone give me a call and I could fill them in on the details.
Yeah, I don't think they'll listen to me, but maybe if you have a chance to talk to the president today, then that'd be great. But Professor Sachs, thank you very, very much for your informative and inspirational speech, and hope you have the rest of a great time at Ottawa in Ottawa.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.